Bandwidth for this podcast is brought to you by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
Play artist, right on Dynamite.
Playing artist right on Dynamite. MP3 music search, only on Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles. Sync, say the word.
We're just talking about how we both have our respectable geek costumes on, the level at which we are definitely two comic book nerds, but to be taken seriously in this environment, we have to add the blazer to whatever t-shirt we're wearing on underneath. We're talking to iVerse right now about iPhone comics. Not just iPhone comics, but going beyond the iPhone. This is a pretty exciting time to be in the digital comics business, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's an extremely exciting time to be inside digital comics because, right now with the iPad coming out, everything's about to change. And, we've got some really great partners that we work with like IDW and Archie here that are really letting us put some real premium content. At the same time, it's coming out in print, available on these digital devices. So we're really at the very beginnings of this digital revolution for comics and the digital age of comics. And it's really exciting to be here.
And you guys have a seriously non-trivial problem here because music is not a problem to translate it to a portable device. Even books, you can simply reflow it for the narrow device. But you have a page that's designed to be about yay big, that's chopped into not only panels, but you're meant to follow a path through it. How much of your job is just figuring out how to make that work on a screen that's just about this big?
Well, actually, right now, that's a good portion of what we do, is the adaptation process and figuring out, how can we best tell this story on this new way to tell it, this new screen. And if we do the job right especially with modern material, if we do the job right, hopefully you can't tell. That it's really been adapted, that it feels natural. With, some materials easier to adapt than others, but, when we do it, the way that we're really the most proud of, really it's hard to tell that it wasn't that way to begin with. And the story flows really well for those users that have never really experienced comics the way that you and I have. They really are able to follow it in that sort of straightforward way, which is why we try not to do too much of the flipping and the moving around and the sliding across the page, because we want it to feel natural, like when you're reading a comic, you just move your finger and you turn the page. We want to do the same thing digitally, which is why we've done it the way we choose to do it on the iPhone.
It does sound as though you have a certain amount of flexibility in that you have some really top drawer properties, but mostly it seems like you're getting people who are fans of the Star Trek movie or fans of the Transformer movie or fans of whatever property you have coming in. Maybe this is even the first comic book they've ever read, as opposed to your basic Wednesday person who takes a 3-hour lunch and wants to grab every Marvel, every DC, and every Dark Horse.
Right. You and I would call those people the mainstream.
The sensible people, right. Yes.
The mainstream people that go and they see the Transformers movie and they see the Star Trek movie and they go, my God, that movie was great, I need more of that. And if we can provide them more of that, and maybe they wouldn't go to a direct market comic book store. So if we can provide them that's why, when we worked with IDW, to do these things, they came up with a great idea to do the individual apps for the properties. That was all Jeff Weber's idea, was, Star Trek, G.I. Joe, and Transformers as their own individual stores. And that really allows fans of those properties to go and be exposed to comics for the first time. So I think we're really growing the comic book market by being able to take the comics to where the people are instead of asking the people to go out of their way to where the comics are. And hopefully we'll have a little cross-pollination.
Do you see a day when you can have that all-in-one storefront where everybody can simply realize that, hey, it's Wednesday, I bet iTunes has just downloaded all my favorite subscriptions from all my major publishers from iVerse or whatever other publisher is going to be the central clearinghouse for this sort of stuff?
Yes, I do think that's coming. It's going to be a slow burn, though. The larger companies, really do have to be careful about the way they tiptoe into this new area for a number of reasons. I mean, it's not just from the perspective of, will we make retailers angry? It's from the perspective of, if this doesn't do well right now, people might be afraid to do it later. So they have to be very cautious about entering into it and doing it that way. So, I think it's going to be a while before we actually see everything available day and date. But companies like Archie and like IDW are already doing day and date and giving you that option. So the day of being able to hit a subscription button and just having all your stuff come, it's coming. Is it going to be 2010? Probably not for everything, but there'll be a lot that you'll be able to get that way by the end of the year for sure.
Now, obviously, this is going to be another industry where the iPad just changes your entire year and cancels all your vacations for the next several months. Now, obviously you've got big plans for iPad, but are you worried more about creating a more abstract solution so that when Google Android pads come out and when other devices, so maybe following the lead of Apple, come out, you're not going to be just the Apple iPad comic book company? Like, how complicated is that decision?
Well, actually, we made that decision from the start. So our entire back-end server that runs these applications is system agnostic. So we actually have a full Android version of what we're doing that will be available probably around the end of March. That is doing all of the same stuff that you're seeing on the iPhone, which actually meant we had to go outside of Google's Android marketplace to do it. But maybe that'll change if we can talk to Google about it. But as it stands right now, we had to go outside of the marketplace to be able to do what we do on the iPhone and make those stores available with our own back-end systems. So we've put all that together, and we're wrapping up Android production right now. We're also looking at a number of other platforms, and we have both online and some other solutions that I really shouldn't talk about right this second that we'll be able to talk about later. And that's really one of the great things about this is there's so many devices out there that there's so much opportunity to go beyond just the iApps, even though right now that's really where things are exciting. You never know where it's going to be 6 months from now.
Well, I mean, I'm in an interesting position. I spent most of my flight reading comic books on my iPhone. They were from, shall we say, a paralegal source. As a journalist, it was my responsibility to research theft and piracy of copyrighted comics, but I am looking, just like with the iTunes Store, revolutionizing and totally changing the way that music gets downloaded. I'm looking forward to the first store and the first software that makes doing it legally a much, much more attractive alternative than doing it illegally. I got money for you guys, and I'm going to be spending it as soon as you start releasing this stuff.
Well, good. We're very excited to hear that because we've got some cool stuff coming for iPad. Maybe we can talk about that later a little bit. And when that stuff gets out, we think people are going to be really excited about it.
And we will also find time to discuss what Brian Michael Bendis is doing with the Avengers. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, that's a long conversation.
And the sooner we're done with this, the sooner we can start on this.
I'm pro Bucky. I'm just going to say that now. I'm pro Bucky.
I'm not anti-Bucky. I don't want you to think that I'm anti-Bucky. I just want to make the statement that reviving a long-dead character and making him the brainwashed sworn enemy of the lead character, and now he's a super cyborg assassin. I've seen that before, all right? I've seen that before.
I haven't seen it done as well as it was done in Brubaker's Captain America.
Well done as in burned to a crisp. Yes, I guess I've seen it done that way now. Find something else to do. We're going to continue this for about another 20 minutes. You see, it's not that...